Hey y'all, it is Moonlight Cowboy. Today I'm going to do the longest tutorial or longest video I've ever done. This is a full 60-minute video, but I felt it was important to get all the information out for newer builders or builders that just want a reference guide for all of the tricks that you can do in a build. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with merging. This is a real basic kind of trick that you can do using a pressure plate, and you just either move the pressure plate over slightly or you can add a mannequin like this. And then once you add the mannequin, you can walk over it without moving the pressure plate or without it, getting messed up. But if you do walk over it without a mannequin on it, it will get messed up. Personally, I don't ever use a mannequin, but that's just me. Now, this is an example of us merging two items. This is actually one of my favorite merges. If you do have those holiday lights, they're fantastic. It adds a little bit of accent lighting to different spots in your house. But basically, I'm picking it up and I'm setting it down repeatedly until it gets submerged into the item. And this is merging. So now see, I've got that nice little look on that light. Here's another example of a basic merge. So what I'm doing here is I'm just kind of haphazardly merging the sink down. And I'm showing you this because I want to show you like a better way to do this, but I just want to give you an idea again what basic merging looks like. So with this sink, I try and get it all the way down, but if you look, you can see the counter underneath the sink. So we're going to do something cooler. This is more like compounded merging, where I'm merging more than one item into another. So in this case, I'm going to merge the sinks into each other. That way I get like a thicker rim that becomes like kind of a fat basin, deep basin sink, what have you, right? And then I'm going to then merge that into the counters. And then what will happen is then you won't see the counters go through. And on this one, I'm just lining it up a little nicer for better context. So anyhow, once I get this thing merged down by the same motion of just picking up, putting it down on that pressure plate, it will go into a nice position. You won't see the bottom of the counter through the sink anymore. And yeah, that's a pretty good look. I use this merge all the time with those sinks. And yeah, I think that looks really good. And you can do this merge as many times as you want, as long as you know that you have to merge everything into the bottom item that you're merging. So like you'd start with one and then merge into the bottom one and then start with one, merge into the next bottom one. On this one's really easy. With destroyed item merging, there's a lot of items that you can just place inside of other items when they're destroyed. So in this case, I destroyed that countertop and I want a little lighting in there. So notice I can just put it in there, no problem. To get it out, I would use FreeCam to kind of fly my camera in there and grab it. And then all I have to do here is I would just repair it. And yeah, that looks pretty good once I get it repaired here. Now I went ahead and did one with a stove in it already, because I'm going to show you how to do snappable items merge with when these things are destroyed. So I'm going to bring this counter over some. I'm going to be really careful to make sure that it goes the correct distance. And then I'm going to destroy one of these countertops. And then all I have to do is snap something through it. I'm not going to destroy that one because that one has a lantern in it and then it wouldn't work. I'd have to pull that lantern out to do that and then put the lantern back in. But look, I just destroyed that. I turned snapping on. And now I can have custom counter lengths, no problem. Now if you notice there's something over that stove, I'm going to show you how to do that here in a little bit. But you can do this through a lot of items, not just other snappable items. Like I did it through that fridge to give a nice custom look there too. And then when I'm ready, I can just destroy everything and go ahead and put lighting in there. So then I've got like all kinds of merges. I've got destroyed merge, I've got snappable merge, I've got the merge sink into the counters and the merge stove. So all kinds of different ways you can do this. And look, I can even get the light into the one with the fridge because the fridge is big enough that you can put something inside of it when it's destroyed. And I thought that came out looking pretty good so far. So foundation merging is a little tricky. You find where you want your item to be merged down, that perfect sweet spot, because once it's merged down, you can't like move it around while it's merged. It'll just pop right back up. And notice I put a little dot here so you can see where I'm grabbing the foundation. I'm trying to keep it as lined as possible. Notice it went into the ground some, right? So for this, I'm just going to keep popping it down. I'm not trying to move it a bunch. I just want it to go straight down as best as possible. If it goes like completely sideways, or I go a really off center with it, the merge will actually move around up there. And once I get a little closer to where I want it to be, I'm going to drag it down like shorter drags. And the reason for that is because the further you pull it down, the more it merges down into it. And look, I just turned that light into a table. By the way, big shout out to Lady H, who initially showed me this at one of her camps. So they're like, oh, that's amazing. I'm going to steal that. Well, here you are, Lady H. I stole it. But in all seriousness, this is a really cool way to decorate your camp. And look, I'm doing a chair merge just by destroying that so I can tuck the chairs in. And I think that looks pretty nice. But the table looks a little empty, so we're going to kind of church it up a little bit over here. And I'm going to add a daisy rug to it. It's kind of like a table doily. And then we're going to add some cups. And those cups are nice, but I don't like the bottoms on them, so we're actually going to fix that here in a minute by doing another merge. I'm adding this plant, and I want some lighting inside of it, so I'm going to add 3 of these holiday lamp posts, which I think I've said before I love. They're one of my favorite items in the game. And I'm going to merge those down into this plant. Once that's down far enough, I'm just going to grab it, make sure it's centered onto the rug. But then, once I have it in the right spot, we're going to have a little bit more fun with this. So I'm going to take this, and I'm going to take the whole like rug, air quotes, table doily off of here. And I'm going to merge it down. Now you can merge items down into other objects by about 3 or 4 clicks before it'll tell you cannot merge. So I merged it down, I think it was like 2 or 3 clicks there. And I can put it back on the table. And yeah, see, I don't have the bottoms of those cups anymore. It just looks like the regular cups without like having that weird underneath bottom. Now I'm going to show you breakable item merging. So if you have one of the, either the Thrasher egg or one of those, they came from the Amazon bundle a while back. You just have to shoot these items to get them to break, which is nice. And when you do, you can just put things over them, or you can merge the egg into something and then break it. There's a lot of ways that you could do this. People make trap camps doing this. If you guys didn't know, that's a lot of the, when you see those punji boards, they're using like something like this egg or something to, they're repairing it, and then the punji boards appear. But as you can see, I'm going to do it through a thicker pull table here. And look, I can just, it pops right in. So that's another way that you can merge stuff into items. Now I'm going to show you how to float items with your camp module. So we're going to pretend that this thing wants to be a chandelier. Hi, chandelier. All right. So all I'm doing is I'm putting it on another item. I put it on a mat here, but it could be anything. I could have put it on like a table. I could have put it on a plant, whatever. And then I'm putting it on the camp device. And kind of like with the pressure plate, every time I pick it up and set it down, it is floating up in the air. Now, my count is it's about 3 pressure plate clicks for every 1 camp module click. So if you click it once on the camp module, it'll take about 3 clicks on the pressure plate to merge it down. And look, now we've got a little chandelier type object. Now we can do the same thing that we did before with the foundations, except we can go the other way with it, so that way things are floating off of the foundation. So if you noticed last time, I'm going to show you again this time. If you look at the corner at this kind of angle right here, where you can grab it, that's where you're going to have the best luck, whether you're taking it up or you're bringing it down. That's why I put that big blue dot there, so you can see where I'm picking it up at, and I'm gently picking it up, and then when I like let go of it, that's when it snaps. It snaps down or up, depending if I'm dragging it down or dragging it up. So letting go, snapped up. I'm probably going to do it one more time here. Yeah, that looks about the right height. Now the catch with this though is, unlike with the other version of doing this, you can't move that thing anymore. You'd have to literally do it all over again if it wasn't in the right spot for you. But it's also a budget saver too. So now I'm going to show you how to float wall or roof items with your CANT device. This only works for smaller items, but as you'll see here, like I want to put a little light up and I want it just float. I can literally use my CANT device here and I can put it right there. The CANT device obviously floats, as you just saw, once things are moved around it, and you can attach things to it. That's basically the trick. Same thing works with wall items. Like I'm going to use this Greek letter. I think this is the alpha, and look, it just sits right there, no problems. I can use smaller letters too, obviously, which I'm going to do real quick just as one more example. I wouldn't do this for like trying to line up like the entire alphabet or anything. You'll drive yourself nuts. But you know, if you need one or two items, it looks really good. So this one is floating items from underground. This is kind of what I was referring to earlier, where like you know, there's certain merges or floats that I use all the time. This is one that I do all the time. It's not this particular one, but just going underground. And I'm going to show you an easy way to bring stuff underground or bring things above ground here in a little bit. But all I'm doing is taking these, and these are crops. I'm literally taking the crops and I'm using the camp or the camp module to float them off of the plantable item. So like that card is plantable. There's different planters that you have that you can put like crops in. So I'm floating that up. And it's going to be really touchy. I won't lie. This is one that's going to take a little bit of like finesse to get to be in the right spot. But right now my goal is to try and get it above ground, see where it's at, see how many, there it is. See how many clicks it's going to take to get it to where it needs to go onto the counter. So I'm going to slow it down here now in a second to kind of give you an idea. It's not exactly where I want it to be. So what I noticed was when I put it there, see how it turned red? That means that those crops are intersecting with the counters. All right. So I've got it about where I want it to be. I'm going to start finessing it now a little bit. And I could have destroyed the counters too. It actually would have made this a lot easier for me. But I'm just showing you guys how, like, just the natural process of doing this. So I'm going to take it up a little bit more. And then once I take it up, we're going to see again. I'll probably end up having to take it down a little bit. The other thing you can do too is if for whatever reason you want to get you have it a little low and you want it to stay that perfect height, you could actually destroy the cart, which would make the crops go intangible. And then that will also have the same effect. So like once you destroy the cart, the crops disappear. You put the item in place, and then you have them exactly where you want them to be. But see how they're floating a little bit? Yeah, I'd be using a pressure plate to bring it down a couple of clicks, which you're going to see here in a second anyway. But yeah, this is a really unique thing to have in your kitchen. I mean, how many kitchens have you walked into in this game that you that you could actually go and pick crops off of? Like, how kitchen is that? So I'm trying to lower it down just a touch, and the reason why I couldn't move it for a moment there was because it wasn't going to let me intersect with it. So sometimes you just got to pull it away. Sometimes it's foundation related. Sometimes it's maybe something up there that you have on above ground that would be intersecting with it. But anyways, that's pretty centered. I don't mind if a little vine is hanging off of there, because it kind of gives it a even more of an effect that I like a 3D effect. So yeah, that's pretty cool. So now we're going to use display items. This is again pretty basic, but all you have to do is just, like for this kitchen, for example, I wanted to put a scale in the kitchen, so I found a scale out in the wild, and I can just merge that down into whatever item I want it to be, and so it's not showing the chessboard anymore. This is a great tactic for those that do not have like all of the Atom Shop items, like, you know, like I do. I have most of them, but you know, like I still use this trick when I want a really custom looking piece of decor in my kitchens or in wherever. And yeah, it does go down slightly more than the chessboard, just as a heads up. So if you're trying to do like a pen, don't do a pen. Pens are really hard to do. But you can also use the pillar for this too. The pillar is a little bit more cumbersome and wieldy, but for those that don't have that chessboard, it is a good option, or it's the best only option if you don't have the chessboard. So similar process, we're just going to go ahead and merge that down in there a little bit. And once we get to that perfect spot, boom, and we snapped it right in. Now you have two different world items sitting on your counters. Now we're going to merge with wall items. To do this, you destroy the wall. It's that easy. And I'm going to put this stove here because I do like using the wall counter, or they're not really wall counters, they're like wall cupboard. But yeah, you can use those as countertops as well. And this will give you some ideas here of what I've done with this trick before, these tricks that you saw. You know, that's right there. Those are the wall cabinets. And this is a really nice bathroom. You know, you can get really crazy with it. You could even go as far as to, you know, make a little table like this, or even make an entire mountain going from underground and pushing up ultrasite shards like I did with that camp. It's a livable camp with all of the features. So, conduit tricks. Conduits are something that all of us builders use. You can do a lot of really cool things with this. First, I'm going to show you how they work. The real thing that makes them special is they're small and they can float just by attaching a conduit somewhere, right? So, and then attaching another conduit and then having it snap. So as you see there, like with that chair, you can float items. Now that chair merge looked real hideous. So what we're going to do is something a little more practical here. I'm going to take this and I'm going to go into this box and I'm actually going to grab the conduit that the box is sitting on. And then now I'm on PlayStation. I'm going to hold X and then I'm going to push out the box so that way it's a little further away for me so I can see where I'm placing it. And I'm going to go back in the box once I've placed it onto the pressure plate so that way it's literally inside the box. I'm going to grab it, pick it up, hold X, and then I'm going to push that box out again. And now look, I can just snap it to that conduit. And yeah, I've got a floating box in the air. Another thing you can do, this is for those of you who like have a really small build and want to make it look like it's accessible, but you don't have room for stairs, or you don't want stairs. I've done this on a lot of builds. So for me, what I will do is I'll make a ladder. And so what I did, as you saw, is I just took a conduit, I put it at the edge of the table, and then I snapped another conduit that's floating off to its own. And then I went and removed the table. And then as you'll see right here, I'm removing the table. I'm taking another conduit and I'm snapping it to that conduit that I have in place. And then when I go back down here, I'm going to grab it and I'm just going to I'm going to toggle off snapping, and that will drop that conduit down to exactly where it needs to be. So you'll see it again. So watch, I'm removing it by removing the table, and I'm snapping one, then I'm grabbing it and I'm turning off snapping, and then I'm snapping another one to it, and I just keep doing that. And by doing it this way, your ladders will be exactly 1000% lined up to the pixel. So now you have the meat and potatoes of it, but now you want to add dessert, right? You want to have the posts. So you can do this with stairs posts. I like to use these fence posts for it, but like the stairs posts, which you'll learn how to free place here in a little bit, you could do it with that as well. And if I had gone a little higher, you could have seen how it looked, but you get a general idea how that looks. And I think it's a really cool effect. So now we're also going to do railings. This is something I've done in a couple of builds, and I really like the way this looks. So similarly to the way we snap those the cabinets through each other, we can do the same thing with these conduits. So I destroyed that the fence or the railing there. I put one conduit out so that way I can kind of gauge where I want this to be, the stairs post, and then I'm going to remove that conduit. I'm going to bring it in a little bit more, and then I'm going to destroy it so I can snap through it. That way it looks the same on both sides. And then, yeah, I can just go ahead and add my conduits. I could have used bigger conduits. All works. It doesn't matter what type of conduit it is, as long as they snap to each other, it works. And yeah, that looks pretty good. So as you see, I have done this before, and I like the look of that. So here's a conduit. I use this for a lift, and I use this for a lift. But I use conduits here for something special. This whole build's made out of them, believe it or not, or held together by them. Watch this. So I'm going to go inside one of these containers, and I'm going to grab this conduit. This whole container is being held together by conduits that I snap together. Basically, I merged the conduits into the boxes, and then all I did was I snapped them together like Legos to get this effect. That's why they're all floating like they are. So now you're going to learn some wall, floor, and roof tricks. The first one is one of the most basic tricks you learn, and this is double wall. You can use the brick set. You can use the red barn set. You could use the new Blue Ridge outpost set to double wall. Basically, all you're doing is you're taking a wall, you're rotating it, and snapping the two walls face to face as doorways. They have to be doorways. And then you can then change them to whatever wall type you want. No problems here. Now, I'm going to show you how to remove foundations from walls. They don't have to be double walled for this. But basically, it's saying that you can't take away that wall because the other walls, or you can't take away the foundation because the walls would be inaccessible. All you have to do is turn them back into doorways, and then you can remove the foundations, no problem. So to do double walls with catwalks, all I did was I added catwalks to the bottom there. Notice I went the one direction, then I went through the wall the other direction with a couple, and then I'm snapping catwalks to the bottom of that wall, and then boom, I can snap and double wall from there. It has to be at the bottom of the wall though in order to work with that way. Now, I'm going to show you later on how to do Freeplace walls, but for this example, I needed at least Freeplace a wall. So what I'm going to do here is I have a wall here, and I want to double wall it. I'm going to turn it into the red barn set. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to, here in a moment, I'm going to add a door to this set, to this wall that's in place. And then once I add this door, I'm going to turn this wall into a regular wall, not a doorway. And then I'm going to go and I'm going to snap another wall to it, another doorway. The way that this works is the door is actually the snapping point now. So it doesn't think it's snapped to a doorway, and it's trying to snap to one. So that's why this trick works. And it's a pretty cool trick when you're like in a tight spot. And you can just remove the door, and yeah, you now have double walls up there. So free placing a wall without a blueprint, this is one of the few ways that I know of to do it. This is the easiest way. So if you have a wall that's not a doorway, you can just put down those blinds. If you have the blinds, you can put them down, and then you could just attach a wall to them. That's that easy. Walls inside a wall. So this works with a couple of sets. The set that I prefer to use right here is the pit set. And you will find that, by the way, there's a lot of walls that have like special powers that you just have to play with to find out which does what. But this pit set, when you destroy it as a doorway, you can snap another wall directly inside of it. Now you're like, well, Moon, why would I ever do that? It's just going to like hide the wall that's already there. Like, it doesn't make any sense, right? So when you see what I'm about to do, it might be an aha moment for you, but I know a lot of people that have done this. So right here I have two walls. They're kind of flickering. It looks ugly, right? I'm going to turn one into the glass wall set, like the greenhouse set, and I'm going to turn the other one into another wall set. We're going to go down to the red brick, And look, for once you actually have windows in there because you did this trick. Pretty cool. So now I'm going to show you how to double wall half walls and slant walls. With the half walls, they have to be the red brick, and you just destroy them and then add another wall just like that, and should be no problems. Boom. Same process applies to the slant walls. Now, I have a video on how to do how to turn slant walls into half walls. It requires the blue ridge set, and you're going to see that in a second as well. But I'm not going to go into a lot of detail of all the things you can do with that. I have tutorials for that. One specifically where I did, it's called walls, how to get walls into rocks. I highly recommend checking that one out, because that's going to show you that you can clip those slant walls into other things very easily, where you normally wouldn't be able to put a wall. So for now, though, I'm just going to show you how it works with getting a wall unattached. So in the half wall category right there, as you see, there's one that's not a half wall. One of these things are not like the other. When you turn that into a slant wall by going to the blue ridge set, you can easily remove wall without destroying it. But when these walls are not attached to a foundation or a catwalk, they won't allow you to detach from each other. Look, I'm trying to delete it and it won't let me. So what we will have to do here is we're going to have to do some destruction. But as you can see, as an example with these, what I was talking about with the blue ridge set, notice I can kind of turn them to any kind of angled wall I want. And then if for whatever reason I want to turn them back into a half wall, I can just go back to the blue ridge set. And then I can just turn that to a different angle. And then boom, it's back to a half wall. So very fun trick that you can do that comes in handy for a lot of things. But in the meantime, what we're going to do here is we're going to destroy these walls so that way we can get those disconnected, because I want to get rid of those walls. And I can't, for whatever reason, I can't put a foundation. Maybe I'm building in the sky. But I do want to get rid of these. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a roof there just so I can get to that other wall and destroy it. I could have put a bunch of tables up to float my flamethrower up there, and I'm just going to destroy that too. And then once you destroy that, you should be able to disconnect the walls. So sometimes it's the top, usually it's the bottom though. And yeah, you could even leave that wall up there and repair it if you want, or then just get rid of it, however you want to do it. So underpinnings. There's nothing more of an eyesore than the bottom of these foundations. So the way that we fix it is by attaching catwalks to the edges, and then we can just add walls and snap them in like that. And then now you have underpinnings. Now there's two ways to do underpinnings. There's that way, which you can wallpaper, but those edges stick out. See that? See that brick edge? If you don't want the edges to stick out and you want to use, like, you know, the exterior part of the wall, what you would do here is you would catwalk off of either the walls, or if you had foundations there, you could have used foundations as well. And then you're going to add the half wall going the other way. Now, when I try and add a foundation to this, it's not going to let me. There's a couple of walls that will allow you to snap foundations through them when you destroy them. I do believe the greenhouse set works. For this, I like the corroded concrete wall set. That set's really great because it's one of those sets that goes completely intangible. Like, you can snap things through it very easily once you destroy it. So as you'll see in a second, I'm going to destroy it. And even though it looks like it's still partially there on the edges, it literally, I could walk right through it, no problem. And I'm going to be able to snap a foundation there. And then all I got to do from there is repair. And then I've got a wall. And once the wall's there, like, I think that looks hideous. So what I will do is I'm going to go ahead and change that wall type to something else. And you can see that there won't be an edge sitting up on top. It'll look really clean. So that's a better looking underpinning to me, right? Looks good. So I'm going to show you how to do double roofs. And this one's going to be, it's not super complicated if you know the physics behind it. So what I'm going to do here real quick is I placed that roof flat, and then I angled it. And then I'm going to destroy that roof. I'm going to show you why this works here in a minute. And I have a great tutorial. I have several great tutorials on roofs. So if you want more information on roofs after this, like I've got tutorials for like days. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a roof. And this time I'm going to make sure it's angled. And I can snap it right on and see that I have two different roofs there. This is for those who want to have one roof style up at the top and maybe a different style underneath. Like maybe I want a clean style. Maybe I want a rough style up top, but I still want it to be clean on the inside, right? So look. And then like you see that flickering, but all I have to do is add wallpaper and then it'll be fine, which I'll do here in a minute. The flickering will go away. No flickering. See? Now, I want to show you why this works. A lot of people don't know why this works. The walls for roofs, on the walls, they actually have two snapping points. One for angled and one for flat. So when you snap it as an angle, it actually snaps slightly higher to a different spot on the wall. So you're going to see here, I added the other wall, and now I'm going to add this one angled. And when I flatten it, it's going to be a slightly different height. And that is why that trick works, because they snap at two different points. Now for unhooking roofs, notice I was able to remove that other wall because I flattened it. So to make a roof float, all you have to do is change the angle on it from the different than the angle that you had placed it on the wall. So on that one, I had placed it flat and then I angled it up and I was able to remove the wall underneath. And then on this one, I'm going to do it the opposite way. Or actually, I think I'll do it, yeah, like that. And same rules apply. Like, look, I can't remove the wall and I angle it up. And so you guys know, this is how people do a lot of these sky builds. Like you see those planes up in the sky. That's because that's a lot of it's floating roofs that they've manipulated. So right here, going the other way, look, I can't remove it, but this time because it was angled and I moved it flat, I can then remove that wall. So now I'm going to show you how to float walls using roofs. This is pretty easy. All you have to do is angle that roof, and then you can add your wall. And then you flatten that roof, and then you can catwalk off of it to add, you know, whatever walls you want. So the only catch with this is that then your walls will sink in slightly to the roof, and it'll be tough to place doors on here. But I'm going to show you a workaround to that too. Yeah, see? Got my wall up, no problem. Looks good. And a lot of my sky builds where like I'm building into like the monorail and stuff, this is basically how I start all of those builds, is some process just like this. So as you see here, I want to add door now, but now I can't add the door. It goes red, right? And again, the reason being is if you look here on the edge, you will see that it slightly goes in. So the workaround on this is I'm going to go ahead and remove that roof. And then I'm going to attach an angled roof to the bottom. And what this does is it actually brings it to the correct level that it should be. Oh, I can't do it when it's a doorway, by the way. So that at the bottom now, it is literally at that part. See how close that is to the bottom of the wall where the top of that roof is? And then I just snap a flat wall to that. And it's not letting me add a door that way because it's going the wrong way with the roof. So watch, when I put another flat roof up here, I'll be able to add any door I want. I could have added the other doors, but some of the bigger doors are tricky where it needs to have like ground on both sides. But look, yeah, see, I could add that door, no problem. That pretty much any door that's available to snap to a doorway, I can add right now. So if I were building in the sky, the first thing I would do would be to change that roof so that way I could place other doorways and have no problem. So now I want to use roofs as floors. So I do this all the time, having roofs as floors, but one of the really cool reasons for doing that, one, sometimes I like to use the shelter foundations because the shelter foundation has a nicer looking, bottom where I might not have to use underpinnings. The other reason would be do fun merges. So how am I going to do a merge with a roof moonlight? So what I'm doing here is I'm just getting it to where it'll sit on top of the foundation, like so. I used a half wall and I put the roofs into place using half walls and angling them down, right? So what I'm going to do here is I've already added a little planter up there, and I want to merge something into it. Well, because it's sitting on the roof, and because the roof is so close to the foundation, I can literally just put stuff in here and then repair the roof. Now let's say I didn't want the roof to be my floor. Maybe I don't have that roof set and it's kind of ugly, the roofs that I have. I could then take the foundations and move them up slightly. And then I could just snap a floor through it, repair it. Same rules apply. You don't see the roof anymore, but now you can still destroy that roof, and then you can still do the merge the way you want it to work. So this is a great way to do like large scale merging in your house. Or like some items are just so difficult to merge or they won't let you stack on top of them. This is a great workaround for that. Yeah, repaired. Look, it's just sitting inside of that thing. So now this one's easy. How to remove doors or walls from doors or vice versa. All I'm doing is I'm changing the door type once the door's in place to like a wall or a window. And then I can always just move and modify the type of door that I want. So if I want like a big obnoxious door, I can do that too, and it doesn't have to have a wall. The other thing you could do too is like one of these walls that doesn't snap, like this Charleston one. All I had to do would have been to change it to that door type, and I could have literally just removed the wall as long as it's not like a snappable wall. And it still functions as normal. I actually thought about doing a build with those doors not too long ago. I don't know if I will or not, but just for funsies. Alright, so this is something I do all the time. This is spacing for foundations, and you use a catwalk for it. The reason for doing this a lot of times is to have offset walls. Like if you want like a doorway that's sunken in, you could also like change the height of your foundations a little bit if you want to do like merge of foundations, which I'm going to show you how to do here in a minute. But yeah, it's really easy. Just space it however far you want, and then you can just add your walls, turn them into doorways, and all of the things. So placing difficult foundations in difficult areas, just move your camp device into like where it's just hanging off the edge right here, and then you're going to have to kind of finesse it a little bit. But as you can see, as soon as it flashes green, I would not have been able to place that foundation there before without that. Thank you, Alex P, for teaching me that trick. So that gives you some ideas, like see over there with the offset walls, and over here I have some offset free-placed walls. This gives you some ideas of some things that you can do. I use the slant wall trick that I talked about to make that one. So now we're going to go into the blueprints. The first, I think this is one of the most important blueprints anybody could have, is the Stairpost Blueprint, because you can do a lot with this. Catwalk snap to this, which means you can add walls to it. It's just a very versatile blueprint. So all you're doing is you're going to add a small camp item and two snapped items together. In this case, it's going to be the stairs post. I use the analogy that it has to be like a plug. Think about a plug and the like two prongs and then the ground. You have your ground item, and then you've got your two prongs being the two things that are snapped together. And that's how this mechanic is going to work on a lot of these blueprints. So I'm just going to name it that. I blueprinted like the small camp item, which was the duck, and then two of the posts. And once I have those blueprinted, I can literally place them anywhere. Just go to your blueprints, find it. Got a lot of blueprints. There we go. and then boom, I can just place it down, and off of that, like I said, I could do stairs. I could do like the big platform stairs. I could do catwalks. I could do a lot of things. And it doesn't have to be a small camp item. It could be a lot of items. It just needs to be like a ground. It has to be something that's not part of like a snappable structure item. So for example, I'm using this foundation here. Even though I can snap with it, I don't need it to snap to something in order to place it, unlike these stairs posts. So watch. I'm literally going to use that as my anchor for this blueprint, the foundation, and I'll be able to place this anywhere too. Same rules apply. And it doesn't even have to be a ground item. It could have been like a light, a ceiling light. It could have been a wall item. Just 2 prongs in your ground, whatever your ground is. Cool thing about stairs posts too is like you can build up. They stay where they're at. So like I can build and then remove, and I can go up pretty high with it. Gives you a lot of flexibility. A lot of people use stairs posts in their builds. Similar situation here. I'm just going to blueprint it while it's in the sky. It doesn't even have to be on the ground with the stairs posts. And I'm just going to use the foundation as my anchor. Again, I could have used the dock. I could have used, well, pretty much anything I can place by itself. And then I can just move that puppy over wherever the heck I want. There we go. And you're going to see a lot of this here soon, because a lot of the blueprints you're going to learn today are using this exact same method. So I'm going to show you floating catwalks real quick. This one is pretty easy to do. Just destroy the catwalk, and then you can still snap other catwalks to it. And by destroying it, it allows you to remove it without removing the other catwalk. And then you can just have a catwalk free placed right there. As a forewarning real quick before we move into the next one, I want you to know that if you snap 2 sets of stairs together and they're not attached to the foundation, they will be stuck there permanently. That said, all you need to do for this trick is snap a catwalk to a foundation and then add a set of stairs and remove that catwalk, and you have free place stairs anywhere. So one other thing you could do here too is using that same spacing technique with the foundation. You could do stairs as roofs, similar to like what Roadkill did with like a Skyrimish build back a little bit ago. It was gorgeous. Using a method similar to this. So notice I'm getting the ladders, and I use the catwalks to space out my foundations. So I get my ladders right next to each other. Now watch, when I turn them into the wooden ones, that could be a part of an A-frame house, right? Or, you know, in his case, it was a Viking longhouse. But yeah, so you can do some cool things with that, with the floating stairs off of catwalks like that. Now I'm going to show you how to get underground with stairs. One thing to note about stairs, if you are free placing them or using catwalk tricks, if you ever snap them to a foundation, you won't be able to remove the stairs without removing everything else that's attached to them, just as a forewarning. So what I'm doing here is I'm taking this is like the cello or bass, and I'm basically getting it from one foundation to another to where the bass handle is just sticking out. And then I can actually get underground with this trick. This is a very common trick, but there's a lot of times, even though you don't plan on building a camp underground, you still sometimes need to go underground to do things like your underpinnings, or as you'll see in a moment, hide your power. I hide my power underground all the time. What I don't do underground is I don't keep like floors underground. Reason being is if I want to keep something underground, like say my generator, I won't be able to remove the floors without removing my generator, right? So similar to what I did up there with the floors as roofs, I just went ahead and put a roof down, and I'm going to go ahead and remove that floor and this first set of stairs. And then I just have free floating roofs down here that I can use as a platform to work off of, or, you know, keep them down here if I need to have something floating above ground, like what we did with the crops sitting on the counter. You know, again, in this case, I'll probably do a generator. But yeah, this way you keep a platform under there to work off of. Now, I'm going to show you how to easily bring items underground with you. So essentially what you want to do is when you're above ground, you want to make sure that your setting for free cam is set to on for start free cam at last location. The reason for this is if you have it off and you're underground and you go into free cam, you're going to be stuck underground like this. And that's annoying. Because you can't actually go lower than that. So it's like you're stuck to the roof like a balloon at Walmart. So instead, what you want to do is when you're above ground, make sure you can toggle it on and off so that way it kind of clears it. Or you can always move your camp too and move it back and that should reset it. That said, just start free cam at last location. Make sure that's on while you're above ground. Make sure you go into free cam real quick. See, like that. And then when you go back underground, it's basically like you have a second set of hands above ground while you're below ground so you can pick stuff up and then bring it down. All you got to do is you grab the item when you're in free cam mode, and while you're holding that item, you then toggle into first person mode and then you can place it. And look, I brought that generator down, and just like I was talking about before, look, I could just remove these roofs right here. And then I can have my generator flying solo right here underground. I don't have to worry about it anymore. So now I'm going to teach you how to do Freeplace stairs. Now I could have done it with one mat. I'm doing it with two just for ease of use. But same process applies as before. I have it on the ground. I'm going to use the catwalk. The catwalk and the stairs are the prongs, and then the rug, or rugs in this case, are the grounds. And then I can free place that anywhere I want, even on foundations. So with things like walls or stairs, if you don't have them on rugs, it's going to not allow you to place them on foundations because it's going to try and snap to the foundation, and like the physics make it like want to snap to the foundation, and it's going to give you an error. Here's the Freeplace Catwalk Blueprint. Same process applies. Now with certain things like the catwalks, and as you'll see in a moment with the bridges, you have to blueprint them in a specific order. If you want to remove like the first one or the last one, and I'll show you how that order works in a minute. But as you see, I can because of the order I blueprinted it, I can remove one of the catwalks without them both going away. Or if I grab the wrong one, like that one, it would then go away, obviously. But again, I blueprinted in a specific order that will allow me to keep one catwalk in place, and then I can use that to free place a wall too if I wanted to. So another example of free placing with the same, prong plug analogy I keep using is with bridges. All bridges work with this. So I'm going to snap two extensions to the bridge right there. And then I'm going to place a small camp item inside. And the way that I blueprint, in order to make sure that the one that is closest to me, the bridge that is closest to the duck, to make sure that that's the one that doesn't get removed when I remove one of the bridges, I blueprint the duck, I blueprint the last one, and then the first, or the one closest to the duck. And the last one that gets blueprinted is the last one that will stay when the blueprint is removed. That's the kind of the way you got to think about it. So right now, I'm able to place this blueprint no problem. And as long as the last one I blueprinted is left, that's the one that will stay when I remove them. So that way I keep that bridge there. So fire extension, they work about the same way as the stairs post. They don't have to be blueprinted in any particular order because they can stay floating without issue. Like once you remove one, you can just keep that in place up in the sky, kind of like those stairs posts. So I put two fireplaces back to back. I'm adding my small camp item. And then all I have to do there is blueprint it, just like I have done with all the other things. And then I can free place it on the ground. Now, it's funny because I actually was the first one to come out with a video on when the first Fireplace extension came out, and I figured it out. But it didn't take rocket science to do. Anytime you see something that comes out and it's snappable like this, there's a very high likelihood that that it can be blueprinted and you can turn it into like something like this, where like you would be like, oh well, maybe why would I want to have a chimney somewhere, right? But what if you want to make walls out of that? That's really cool walls, right? And you can do some cool things with these things just by doing that same blueprint. So look, I'm gonna just make I'm gonna make a real quick wall here. But I could do some cool stuff with this. I could turn these into countertops if I wanted to. Obviously walls, it's up to your imagination, right? And I could have destroyed them too to get them a little closer, but in all honesty, no light comes through, so I would have been fine with that. I thought that was pretty good considering I just kind of threw it together. And yeah, you got a wall that way. So now we're going to do Freeplace wall blueprints. This is pretty easy stuff. There's two ways to do the basic one with Catwalk. And this is Catwalk, wall, and then small floor item, just like everything else we've done, right? You don't have to blueprint this in any particular order. Now, there is a caveat with this, with the wall blueprints, and it works the same way as the stairs. So when you try and put this on a foundation right now, look, I'm going to get an error message. But then when I put it away and try and put it out there, I can put it down no problem. Again, it has to do with that connection with the foundation. So all you need to do is I put a doorway down and then I put a rug kind of in the middle like that, which is what I should have done with the stairs, but I didn't because I was lazy. And then all I have to do then is once that thing, I feel like it's in the right position, I am going to turn this doorway into a regular wall. And I'm going to add my catwalk. And I'm going to blueprint those three items. This is a blueprint that pretty much every elite builder has in their arsenal. That does builds that are, contain walls at least. Because there's some that are elite builders that don't do like houses. They do like motorcycles and stuff. And that's fine too. Yes, I'm talking about you nucks. So, or Radrucks too. Both excellent builders. So anyways, yeah, look, I can put my wall down on a foundation that way. So this is one that I kind of came up with based on Aussie Kitty Cat. She's the one who, to my knowledge, is the one that discovered how to do vines. So vines work the same way as catwalks. If you have vines, if not, I highly recommend getting them. But if you have them, they are easier to place, these walls, because you don't have the catwalk poking out somewhere, intersecting. But what I did was I double walled, and I put down my mat. And I turned those back into regular walls so I could attach the vines to them. The vine then works as one of the prongs because, again, it's one of those items that can't be placed without attaching to something, i.e. the walls. And then I can just blueprint all of the walls, all of the vines, and then the mat, and then I'll be good to go here. The reason why I like to wallpaper this when I do these is because then it's easier to line up when you're free placing them. As you'll see in a minute, I'm going to do a fail of trying to place them, and then you'll see what I'm talking about. So once you get the vines into place and you get the blueprint done, you can place it down as long as you have the mat. You placed it, or you did the blueprint with the mat. You can place them down no problem, and then remove the vines. Now watch, I'm going to try and line these up right here. And then when I try and line them up, you'll see that the vines don't, or the walls aren't going to line up correctly in the back. And that's why I like to use the wallpaper, because with the white one specifically, it shows everything, every little mistake, so I'd be able to go back and fix it. So we can also do wall item blueprints. This is one, I think it was Amic Castillo that came out with this. I wish he still built. That dude was a genius. So what I did was basically I blueprinted the wall item on one side with the duck on the other side, and then I can place that painting in reverse to make something like a television. And yeah, so that the white spring paintings work really well for TVs. Again, this is kind of a common trick, but here's one that I don't see very often. You can do the blueprint going the right way instead of doing it in reverse, right? And I'm just going to blueprint these two items. And what I want to do is I don't like those paintings. What I want to do is I want to add a different painting, right? So I'm going to actually sink this into the wall, because with that same blueprint, you can kind of put it into the wall a little bit. And then you can just go ahead and add your painting to it, and then it'll look like it was supposed to be there, like so. And that looks pretty sharp, right? So now you have you have lighting over your painting. It didn't cost you anything super extra. It was actually cheaper than doing a regular light. So that same process is how I did the front of that cabinet. I used this Kwanzaa painting. If you don't have the Kwanzaa set, pick it up. It has a lot of great little items. And I was able to blueprint it and put it down into place using that same method. So now I'm going to show you how to merge foundations. This is not one that I use very often, but I see other people that do. What I'm doing is I'm doing what you would call like the spacing of the foundations. And then I'm taking the catwalk, I'm putting it on each side, and I'm only blueprinting the outer catwalks and the two foundations. I'm basically everything but the middle one. And look, they'll flip because they're trying to connect to that catwalk, and that will actually flip the foundations in. I could have lowered one slightly to get rid of the flickering, but that is the basic mechanics behind it. Now, as far as wall merging, you can do this with catwalks, and I have a lot of tutorials on this, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. But with certain walls like this wall set, the abandoned mine wall set, you can snap walls through them. So notice these walls just snap through each other because they're about 3/4 wide on each side. So now what we're going to do, I'm going to show you other ways that we can free place walls. So you remember I said you had to have a ground. That doesn't mean the ground item has to be on the ground. That means it can be any item. It's just a ground for the term of the analogy of the plug. So for this case, I blueprinted that letter over there and then the catwalk. And look, I can just place my Freeplace wall up in the sky if I want to, or off a post, or any tangible item in the world, basically. And then I have my wall and it just stays in place. And if I can do it with a wall item, you know what I'm going to do next. Yes, we're going to do it with a light. So any roof item, the same process applies. You just have to have your two prongs and your ground. In this case, your ground is your light. And then I'm going to just go ahead and raise that roof right there. And I'm going to blueprint that, or I've already blueprinted it. I'm going to remove everything else. And then I'm just going to add that blueprint up there. And look, it's going to place no problem. Boom. Pretty easy way to add walls in the sky if you need something like very specific like that. Maybe you're turning that wall into a painting, or maybe you're going to turn it into a TV. All right, so I'm going to sneak this one in here too. I've been doing this blueprint for a very long time. I love this for clean builds. I basically took that full wall blueprint and I turned it into a half wall version. And all I have to do is I'm placing it on the exact same shelf or table that I plan on placing the air quotes TV wall on. And then all I'm going to do from here, once that's placed, I can remove everything but the tables, right? And then I can change this. I like to use the enclave set because the back kind of looks like a back of a TV because, well, both sides will be the same, right? And then I can change the channel, which I love. So I'm going to change it. Well, maybe we want to watch the Discovery Channel, right? Or maybe we're going to change it to turn it off. Or maybe we're going to do some kind of funky space or, birthday. Or we're going to turn it on really classy space. That's my favorite channel, by the way. And then we can remove the tables. And yeah, I think that's a really killer addition to like a clean camp. So now I'm going to do a Freeplace door blueprint. So there are some doors that snap, some that don't. What we're going to do is we're going to put a door that snaps, and we're just going to have that out in the air like that. We're going to remove the wall, right, which you learned how to do. And there are some doors that will snap to each other. One of them is the Flying Fortress. Then you have like a couple of the trailer doors that will do it too. You blueprint them, kind of like the same process, the two prongs in the ground. So the ground item and then the doors. And then you can just free place them wherever you want. As long as they have a stable place to sit on, you can't like hang them over the edge and do it. But like right there, they're sitting on a foundation, so it's no problem. And then of course you can change the door to whatever you want, right? So then, just to show you real quick, you can do it with these doors as well. That the mobile home set, and I do believe the destroyed trailer set also does it. So see how they snap to each other like that? And yeah, you'll be able to change those to whatever doors. Works the same way. If you've endured listening to my voice for the last hour, thank you so much for watching my content. I hope it was insightful. I hope you learned how to build. I hope you learned something if you already knew how to build. Thank you all so much for all of the love and support you've been showing me lately. You have a blessed day and stay safe out there.